It is time to get you to a more sophisticated level of financial analysis by adding or introducing another feature, attribute, that is type. For sure, you have seen it many times so far whenever you wanted to use any of the Excel functions. And here, for example, I have put for you present value function of Excel, and here is the guidance it shows. At the end there is type. By default this value is 0, so that was the reason so far we have never touched it, because we wanted it as default as 0. That means the payments, that means the annuity happens at the end of the period. That makes sense. Another value is 1. That means the payment happens at the end of the period. So the type argument tells Excel when payments happen each period, at the beginning of the period or at the end of the period. Clearly you can see it here, type 0, payments at the end of each period, ordinary annuity, and type 1, payments at the beginning of each period, annuity due. Because the cultures, the contract protocols are different. For example, I have seen in some countries they get rent at the beginning of the period, at the beginning of the month, and in some countries they charge you for the rent at the end of the month, at the end of the period. So it can happen many times that you are gonna handle it at the beginning or at the end, and just with that attribute you can handle it. Here, let's go and check an example together. You deposit $1,000 each year for 5 years into an account earning 10% per year. Question: what is the present value of these payments? Yes, it is different if your payment, that 1,000, is at the beginning of the period or it is at the end of the period. If you are using type 0, it means it is at the end of the period. So it would be in this way that we have handled all our examples so far. Because 0 is now, and 1 means at the end of year 1, 2 means at the end of year 2, 3 means at the end of year 3, and like that. So the cash flow timeline would be something like this that you see here. But what if payments are at the beginning of each year, type 1? So it would be, the cash flow timeline would be something like this. At 0, now you pay 1,000. It means 0 means beginning of year 1. 1 means beginning of year 2. 2 means beginning of year 3. And still we have 5 payments. It is the style of our class that it is based on doing many examples. So the new concept that is discussed completely is digested, understood, and mastered. Let's do an example for annuity due. That means type 2. Find present worth, present value for year. So our analysis would be just for a year-long event. Equivalent monthly cost. So it means that we are going to have 12 payments. They are lease payments and they are $1,200 per month. And interest is 1% per month. So if I ask you, what is the nominal interest rate? What would be your answer? Yes, 12%. But it is nominal. Because what happens in reality is 1% per month. So here in this question, it is asking you calculate the present value if the payments are at the beginning of the month. Because here it is saying annuity due. But I have also another question for you. Please also do it regularly as an ordinary annuity and see which one is higher. And also, even before calculating the regular one, just use your common sense. When you are paying $1,200 per month for 12 months, the present value is higher when you are doing the payments at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month. Use your common sense. This common sense, this level of intuitive understanding of financial questions, those type of instinctive ability to analyze the financial cases is really an asset. So try to train yourself to that level. And here I have that question for you. Without using any numbers, without using any formula or calculations, based on your common sense, instinct, intuition. Which one provide higher present value? Type 1 or type 0? Oh, here I put type 2. I mean the other one, yeah. Because here in Excel, you have 0 and 1. And I said for 0 type 1 and for 1 I said type 2. But which one is bigger? Stop the video and start working on this challenge and also try to come up with that answer. I hope your answers are correct, both the instinctive one and also the calculations. Okay, so here you are trying to calculate the present value. Here you see the present value and you put the interest rate, you put the number of period, and you put the payment. And you put 1, it means that your payments are at the beginning of the month. The beginning of the month, and you get this present value. And yes, that's correct, that the present value of your payments when you are doing the payments at the beginning of the month are going to be higher. Why? Because when you are paying at the beginning of the month, for example here, in comparison to paying, let me show in another color. In comparison to paying at the end of the month, this 1 month also cost you interest rate. So if you are paying your 1,200 at the beginning of the month, it means that you are ignoring 1% interest rate that you can receive on your money for this 1 month. And 1,200 times that 1% is $12. So you skipped that $12. So you are going and give, for example, the payment sooner at the beginning of the month. And just in case the lender doesn't consider, just doesn't reward this sooner payments, it means that you are losing this $12 because you could very easily put this 1,200 in another bank account for 1% per month, and at the end of the month, when you have your $12, you pay that 1,200 here. Just if I want to give you an example, see, when you are paying, usually when you are, because now all the banking systems, all the lending system, no guarantee, but if the system is, the lending system is modern and they are fair, when you are paying the principal of the loan sooner, they apply it immediately to your outstanding balance, so the system calculates less interest moving forward. But there are also situations that you are going and pay, for example, 2 payments in advance for any reason. For example, you want to go on a trip and anything. There could be a justification that why a person wants to pay 2 payments ahead. If you have question, if you think it doesn't make sense, just shoot me an email and we can discuss it together. So over there we can discuss all the things why they can also be a justification. I'm going to give you the scenario that it makes sense. But in those situations, because I have seen it in some statements that they said that if you pay your installment in advance, it doesn't impact your following ones in terms of less interest or that type of thing. From now on, if you go and check your statement with more curiosity, I'm sure you will understand the numbers over there more interesting to follow up and check, and also come up with some new ideas to what is the best way to pay off that loan. And sometimes the best strategy to pay off a loan is that just let it go for its 30 years, but sometimes it's better just go and pay it off. We learned present value analysis. We learned annual cash flow analysis. And now it's turn for rate of return analysis. And you should be well now aware of what it is about. Again, we want to compare 2 alternatives, 3 alternatives, n alternatives, that which one is the better one, and we want to do that with this approach, rate of return analysis. So we are gonna calculate rate of return for each case, and whichever is higher, we will go for that, because it means that we will get more return on our money. The most important point here is this fact. Rate of return is most frequently used measure. Yes, that's correct. Because if I ask you about your personal experience regarding different investment opportunities that you have heard about, mostly they are being advertised, they are being explained, they are being presented based on their rate of return. Usually we don't see in general, in public presentations, that the presenter try to justify an alternative for investment or choice or anything purchase based on present value of all the cost savings or everything, or more weirdly to use annual cash flow. No, it doesn't usually happen. They are very technical. But when it comes to rate of return, no, everybody can understand it. They compare to plan, economic plan, they compare to options, alternatives, and they say that the first one has rate of return 7%, the second one has 4%, and the last one has 11%. So because of that, we go with the last one. So for that one, we go for the function IRR. Yes, you are completely familiar with that. And it is the interest rate at which present worth is 0. You remember one session we started trial and error to get PW0. You remember that? I remember it was, the answer was 44%, and we started between 5 and 15%, and we start playing them until we get to 850 or 845. So you already know about that. Don't overcomplicate it. You know IRR, and what happened in IRR? You are getting the interest rate that make the present worth equal to 0. That makes equivalent uniform annual worth 0. You are also familiar with this, but mostly you are familiar with the C1, that is cost. No matter you are using it for a loan or you are using it for an investment, there are some nuances that hopefully we will cover them if we get time, but they are the same. The logic is the same. In the loan, you are paying the interest on the unpaid balance, and for investment, you are receiving the interest on the unrecovered investment. As the last part for this video, before we jump into some examples for just these new things that we learn, please work on this question, and what do you think of the correct answer? Internal rate of return is interest rate where NPV equal to 0, present value of benefits equal present value of costs, annual benefits, annual costs, all of the above and none of the above. Stop the video and see which one is the correct answer. Absolutely, you are right. This one is the correct answer. All the above. Because at that point, as again we discussed it before, it is the point that all the costs and benefits on one point are equal on a reference of comparison. PV, consider 0 point now. annual benefit, annual cost. It is just about that annuity. So the time is not important. So all of them are correct.